Texans Today. How are we feeling, Texans fans? Only a couple days away from the start of NFL free agency. The Texans could turn their roster upside down. Right now, there's only one offensive lineman that I think is a for sure starter going into next season. So let's see what the Texans are doing. What does Nick Caserio have up that sleeve of his? We're going to talk about it on today's program. We're going to talk about the current roster, players with the most to prove. I have three guys who I think have a lot to prove this offseason, and there's going to be some competition on this Texans roster going into 2026. Also, the NFL Combine has come and gone, so now I'm going to look at some guys that I think have jumped off draft boards that I are hoping actually fall a little bit in round one, because I've heard some rumors that the Texans the past couple years, they've traded out of round one. Could they possibly trade up in round one this year to get the guy that they really want? And as always, get those questions in, hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get on the program. I got my guy Loco Lopez on the ones and twos here today, so help him out. Get those hashtag Texans in, and we will get going on the program. As I always say, Texans fans, we span far and wide, so let me know, where are you watching from? Go down in the comment section. Rep your city. Let me and Loco Lopez know, where are you watching today's show from? Because we are right now in a little bit of a drizzly downtown Dallas right now. Getting a little bit of a rain here at the Chat Sports Studios. But let me know where you're tuning in from. We got San Leandro, California, Conroe, Texas, Mineola, Texas, Tomball, Wake Forest, Raleigh. We got Cypress checking in, home of the new Texans practice facility. We got watching from Nashville right now from Trucker Cam. How we doing? Portland, Maine checking in. McAllen, Texas. Littlefield, Texas. Tomball, Houston, Illinois. H-Town repping Rio Grande City. We got all the people in South Texas checking in. El Salvador, Phoenix, Arizona. Pasadena, Texas checking in. We got Trinity, Raleigh, North Carolina. Spring, Texas. Oh, Canada. From Logan, Groselle, Clear Lake, my hometown. There we go. Proud alumni, Clear Lake High School.
Hey.
H-Town, Texas, Nintendo Master. How we doing, buddy? Good to see you here in the live chat. We got Illinois.
Illinois action.
Illinois. Maybe losing their football team. It's going to be the Indiana Bears, according to possible reports.
I think that rolls off the tongue better.
Indiana, maybe Lake Placid, New York, Edinburgh, Texas. We got Rhode Island, San Antone. With all those big old women down in San Antone. We got Waco in the building, Rossmore, California, Acres Home via Northside from Jaycox, all checking in. My guy Loco Lopez, always on the ones and twos. And if you do want to get a little crazy on today's show, actually, can we read only that to 5? Because I'm really trying to get this thing filled up. I want to do
today.
The Texans Hall of Fame helmet giveaway very soon. So if you want to get a helmet sticker, I'm trying to fill this bad boy up. $5 on today's show. Get you a Texans Hall of Fame sticker. Once I fill it up, we're going to give this bad boy away. As always, if we get $100 total on today's program, I will do the mailbag in the Texans helmet to infinity and beyond. And any super, make sure that you get up on screen. You can also use that hashtag Texans to get on the program later on. So, as we get rocking and rolling on today's show, if you missed my video that I put out this morning, I talked about some Texans free agent targets. My buddy Aaron Wilson actually had his live show last night. He does a great job as well. And talked about 3 players that he believes the Texans are going to target at the start of free agency. He said Wyatt Teller, guard from the Cleveland Browns, Braden Smith, tackle from the Indianapolis Colts, and Cade Mays, center from the Carolina Panthers. So he pinpointed these 3 guys as possible free agent targets for your Houston Texans. And I broke them all down on my video that I put out this morning. If you didn't check it out, it is on the channel. You can go view it after this show. It's not going anywhere. You can check it out and all my thoughts on that video. But speaking of the offensive line, The live poll right now is how many O-linemen will the Texans sign in free agency? And it is very close between 2 and 3 offensive linemen in free agency. So I'm going to ask the folks at home, what is your confidence level in Nick Caserio to fix the offensive line this offseason? Scale it 1 to 10. Because right now, in my eyes, we only have one starter, Ioane Ursary. And he might not even play left tackle. He might play right tackle going into next season. So let me know. 1, you have no confidence at all. 10, you think the Texans are going to have the best O-line in the NFL next year.
What's your take? How many O-linemen do the Texans need to get, whether that's draft or free agency? How many do you think is that sweet spot for them?
I agree with most of the audience. I'm going with 3 in free agency. I think you got to load up in free agency because, as I mentioned in that video earlier, and I believe we have the List 5 logo from that down in the sheet, the Texans have not had a ton of success in drafting offensive linemen. They just haven't.
Not a bun here.
I made a mistake with this one. It should be second round for Ursary. All good. But in the draft, not a lot of success. I mean, Ursary, that's the good one, right? Blake Fisher, I don't think he's going to start this next year. I really don't believe it. Ladarius Henderson, not on the team anymore. Juice Scruggs, not on the team anymore. Jarrett Patterson, backup center, okay, got him in round 6. That's decent. The one before this, Kenyon Green, first round bust. So, have not had success at all in the draft in identifying talent along the offensive line, sans Ioane Ursary, because I do believe he's a pretty good tackle in the NFL. So I think you got to go with 3 guys in free agency to really fill out this offensive line. They've already shown it's been a tough road sledding in terms of developing guys. So why not get guys that are already developed, maybe later stages of the career, like a Braden Smith, like a Wyatt Teller, like a Cade Mays. There's a lot of other guys in free agency as well. Connor McGovern, I talked about in that video. The Bills are basically ghosting him. Could they look at him as another center option from the Buffalo Bills? His teammate David Edwards, guard. He's another option from the Buffalo Bills that the Texans could possibly upgrade their offensive line with. The Packers, they might end up cutting Elgin Jenkins. That's another guy who the Texans could end up looking at. So my confidence level, I'm going to put it at a 6 right now just because there's so much that's up in the air. Like, I think you got to sign 3 offensive linemen, and you probably got to draft another 3. So that's 6 brand new bodies that you're bringing in to the building to play offensive line. A lot can go right and a lot can go wrong with that. Because, one thing as a former offensive lineman that I think is very important is continuity and knowing the guy next to you when blocking. The Texans won't have that next year. Let's see if Cole Popovich, the Texans offensive line coach, can really get these guys ready to go in basically training camp, preseason. We'll see. Let's see what the chat is saying down below. Reich is saying Trent Brown wouldn't be a bad re-sign. Also in that video, I talked about Aaron Wilson mentioning that Trent Brown is a possible re-sign candidate for the Houston Texans. He likes this Texans coaching staff. He likes this Texans team. And he could be a possible option to sign as a backup right tackle or a bridge right tackle if you want to draft somebody early on in the draft and kind of have them battle it out there.
See, some people saying Tyler Linderbaum.
Tyler Linderbaum, possibly, but
he's going to run you some money.
Yeah, the reports are that Tyler Linderbaum might get $23 to $24 million a year. I think that's a little bit too rich for the Texans. I don't know if they're willing to spend $23 million on one player, especially at the center spot, especially with 4 other positions that they got to fill. I think they go not bargain bin shopping, but I think they look for the middle ground. They're not going to get the cheap guys this offseason. I don't think they're going to go for like the Laken Tomlinsons of the NFL, but I don't think they're going to shop for if they get the top guy at any position, I think it will be Braden Smith, the tackle from the Indianapolis Colts, to start there at right tackle opposite of Ioane Ursary. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see. As we get ready to get into our first segment on today's program, make sure you use that hashtag Texans. Loco Lopez, I don't think we have any hashtag Texans so far.
We have a couple, and there's one that I think will be a very interesting topic revolving Stephon Diggs.
Oh,
newly released Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, newly released Stephon Diggs. We'll break that down on the mailbag today. But if you could, use that hashtag Texans, or if you want to make sure that Lopez puts your question up on the show, you can super chat, ask your question, and we will make sure to get you up there. But I want to hear from you folks at home. So all you got to do, hashtag Texans in your comment, and then put the rest of your question or your statement down below, and we'll try to get you up on our Texans mailbag. What's up, John Scheffler? How we doing, Nintendo Master? Thank you, everybody, for checking in on today's program. All right, let's get into our first segment on today's show. But before we do so, we got 140 rowdy Texans fans in the building. Can we get to 50 likes? We are 10 likes away. Hit that like button, that thumbs up icon. That helps us out a ton. Go down, hit that like button, and we can get started with our first segment on today's show. As I drink some of my How water.
Sponsored by How. That's how we stay hydrated.
That's how we do it. This is how we do it. Da, 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 da. There we go. All right, we are 2 likes away. Who's going to be like 50? Who's going to be like 50? 2 likes away, and boom goes the dynamite. We're there at 55. There we go. There we go. Thank y'all for hitting the like button. I appreciate it. I always say the most valuable thing you have in this world is your time. So thank you to everybody in the chat, whether you're here for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the entire show. It means the world to me. It means the world to my guy, Loco Lopez, for y'all checking in. So we really do appreciate every single person for tuning in to today's live show because, you know, your time is valuable. So the fact that you're spending some of that time here on Texans Today really means a lot. I appreciate everybody for rocking and rolling in the chat. My guy, John Scheffler, he is a legend here at Chat Sports, is a huge viewer of our Raiders channel, actually, checking in. He says, love, bro. Hey, appreciate my guy, John Scheffler, checking in. Here we go, getting ready for our first segment. Scheffler, if you have any questions about NFL free agency, feel free to use that hashtag Texans. We'll try to get you up on the show as well I can answer your question during our mailbag portion. But appreciate you checking in. A legend here at Chat Sports. Appreciate you, John Scheffler, an absolute real one. Thank you for tuning into today's show. All right, I think we're all ready. Lopez got everything dialed in, ready to go.
Yes, sir.
We're going to get into our first segment on today's program, and I'm going to be discussing 3 players that I think are fighting for their jobs. They have a lot to prove this offseason, and they can either be a big part of this team or they could end up being a backup or even cut this offseason. I'm going to tell you who those 3 players are here in the first segment here on Texans Today. But if you haven't already, buckle up, hit that like button, and let's get started with our first segment here on Texans Today. Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's program, 3 players that are fighting for their spot on this roster, fighting for their jobs on this roster, and they have a lot to prove going into this 2026 season. I'll tell you who those 3 players are and why it actually might not be a bad thing for one of those players that is fighting for their spot. I'll explain here in just a moment. But a little bit of housekeeping to do, some Texans news that rolled in yesterday. The Texans, they will be releasing veteran safety Jimmy Ward. This was basically something that everybody, if you're a Texans fan, you probably already knew. It's going to save $750,000 against the cap. So, good news for the Texans. Jimmy Ward really didn't play at all last year due to some off-the-field concerns and some injury concerns. But the veteran safety is going to go on his way, and he is going to contemplate either retiring or coming back to play for another squad. Before we get going on the show, quick shout-out to some members of the Noti Gang. I gave a shout-out to these guys, and I want to do it again because y'all are some absolute real ones. Whenever I drop a video, these people are usually 5 of the first people to comment. We got Stan, Kingsblade Media, Pick Six Card, Paisano, Ayush, and so many more people that are part of the Noti Gang that I appreciate a ton. What does the Noti Gang mean? That means you're one of the first 5 people to comment on my video. Super simple. All you got to do, hit that sub button, click the notification bell, select the all option. If you are one of the first 5 people to comment on one of my videos, you could too get a shout out here on Texans Today. All right. Without further ado, let's get into my list of 3 Texans that I think are fighting for their spot, fighting for their job going into this next year. And I mentioned one person, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And that's the first guy on this list, Jaylen Reed. This is a good thing that he's got something to prove, right? The fact that we're even talking about a 6th-round rookie from last season that can possibly start at the safety spot, that's good news for Jaylen Reed. I mean, that's best case scenario as a late-round pick to possibly go into year 2 as a starter. Now, he was injured most of last season, started off on short-term IR, ended the year on short-term IR before coming back for the playoffs. But I think whenever he was given the chance, he really played well for this Houston Texans team. And I think the Texans, they're likely going to bring in competition, whether that's in free agency or in this year's NFL draft. But I really liked what I saw out of Jaylen Reed his rookie season, and I'm excited to see what he can do this next year. Well, as we look at this Texans depth chart at the safety spot, there's really not a lot of options right now, right? It's Kalen Bullock and Jaylen Reed. You have MJ Stewart, Miles Bryant as well. But besides Kalen Bullock and Jaylen Reed, not a ton, right? MJ Stewart probably going to leave in free agency. The Texans might re-sign him. Miles Bryant as well. But Jaylen Reed this past year, according to PFF in his 173 snaps, not too shabby. 65.6 overall grade, a coverage grade of 61.1, pass rush grade of 59.1, and a run defense grade of 73.5. He's a safety that, even though below 6 foot, not afraid to get up there and tackle, right? That 73.5 PFF run defense grade is there for a reason. He's not afraid to get in there, put his helmet on another player and really get after it. So Jaylen Reed, I'm looking at him this offseason. I know the Texans, they're going to add more safety help during the draft, during free agency, but I'm excited to see what he can do in year 2 because we only got to see a snippet, right? 173 snaps of Jaylen Reed his rookie season. I've been talking to people from Reed's camp. He's really pumped to get out there, show the Texans fans what he's got in year 2, and I think we should be excited as well. Speaking of the defense, speaking of the safety spot, I want to hear from you folks at home. The Texans will have a top blank defense in 2026. Fill in the blank for me. It's going to be a top 3, top 5, the top defense. Let me know down below, how good do you think the Texans defense will be in 2026? I'm interested to see what y'all have to say down below in the comment section. I mean, I would say top 3. There's no reason this Texans team can't have a top 3 defense once again. They have all of their key guys returning next year on the back end and on the defensive line. Now, you do have defensive tackle. A lot of guys are free agents, so you'll have to worry about possibly re-signing those guys or replacing them. But, I mean, with the guys on the back end and the guys that are rushing the passer, there's no reason that this Texans team shouldn't have a top 3 defense this next season. Like, look at this pass rush duo. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, easily, in my opinion, the best pass rush duo in the NFL right now. A combined 27 sacks, combined 35 tackles for loss, 6 forced fumbled, 6 pass breakups. These dudes, absolute machines in 2025. And then you look at the back end of the defense. The defensive backs. We might have the best secondary. Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley, 2 elite corners. Jalen Petrie, maybe the most undervalued player in the NFL, and Kalen Bullock, a ball hawk on the back end. So, in my opinion, there's nothing stopping this Texans defense from being top 3 once again, and I think that we could see this Texans team add a couple key pieces, especially in free agency, maybe the draft, maybe some sneaky signings here on the defensive side to make them that much better going into this next year. Now, coming up, I have 2 more players with a lot to prove going into the 2026 season. Before I do, let me tell you about our sponsor over at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. I love it. Loco Lopez loves it, and so will y'all. Get started today with our friends over at Prize Picks today and join the millions of users and sign up for America's #1 sports pick app. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. They have a new feature with early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And I know we got a lot of hoops fans in the building, so I decided to make a little hoops lineup for you. I know a lot of y'all might be watching this after this game happens, so if you are, let me know down in the comment section. Did I do right or did I do wrong? I'm talking Houston versus the Baylor Bears. This is the lineup that I'm going with. Of course, the Cougs. I'm going with the more on those guys. We got Sinak, we got Sharp, we got Flemings, 3 all-around great players in college basketball. And then I'm going on the less with this Baylor guard. You can use my lineup or make your own. Just do it with our friends over at Prize Picks today. Download the Prize Picks app and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All that information down in the comments and description of today's show. All right, let's look at the second player with the most to prove, Jake Andrews. And he was actually a big talking point at the 2026 NFL Combine for general manager Nick Caserio, because when asked about the center spot, he said, yeah, we're willing to upgrade wherever we can this offseason, including the center spot. Well, that's Jake Andrews. He started 16 games at center last season for your Houston Texans, and he's going to be coming back this next year. Will he be starting? I don't know. The Texans, they've been linked to multiple centers in free agency, whether it be Cade Mays from the Carolina Panthers. A lot of people are talking Tyler Linderbaum, even though I think he might be too expensive for your Houston Texans. Connor McGovern from the Buffalo Bills, amongst others. And that's not even mentioning the guys that the Texans have been linked to in the 2026 NFL Draft. Now, Jake Andrews, right now, I have him slotted in at the center spot, but there's not a lot of other options. Maybe Jarrett Patterson. I know there's a lot of Jarrett Patterson fans out there, but I think the only player that is guaranteed to start next year on this screen is Ariante Ursery. Now, if the Texans re-sign Ed Ingram or Trent Brown, possibly, but I don't know, right? His PFF grades last year, not too bad. Like, I think a lot of people are overreacting about how bad he was in 2025. The PFF grades, 61.6 overall. Pass blocking grade is 67.2. Run blocking grade, 59.5. 1 sack allowed, 6 penalties on the season. I think, an average center. Like, I think he's okay. But definitely, as Nick Caserio said, there is room to improve. There's always room to improve unless you have the top guy at that position. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world for him to return at center if the Texans went out and, paid big money and got 2 really good guards next to him. I think that would help him out. I think he would look better going into next year. But I would like to at least draft a center to compete. If they don't sign somebody like a Cade Mays, like a Tyler Linderbaum, I would like them to draft a center in the first 3 rounds to compete with Jake Andrews and at least push him a little bit forward and see what we have in him. I think he's a good option there, but like Nick Caserio said, there is room to improve. The last guy on my list, tight end, Cade Stover. I think, there was a lot of hope for him coming out of Ohio State, a former teammate of C.J. Stroud. People thought, the connection's going to be there with him and Stroud. Obviously, they go way back. The 2 Buckeyes, they definitely have some sort of connection, right? Right? I mean, it hasn't seemed to click with Cade Stover, right? The run blocking has been a little underwhelming, in my opinion. The receiving aspect, so-so. 16 starts in his first 2 seasons. And I think the Texans like Brevin Jordan and Dalton Schultz more than they like Cade Stover. And if they brought in a tight end to compete, I actually think they would be competing with Cade Stover. I know I've been on the Dalton Schultz train of possibly trading him, possibly cutting him. The Texans really like Schultz. Cade Stover might be a little bit more on the hot seat, though, because the Texans have been meeting with tight ends. They have been rumored to be in on some tight end free agents. And I think that would push Cade Stover out more than it would push a guy like Brevin Jordan or Dalton Schultz. This past year, nothing, right? 12 receptions, 76 yards, 0 touchdowns in 9 games played. Like, he hasn't done a lot, right? And the fact that he was a mid-round pick, like, he's definitely dispensable. And as I mentioned, during the NFL Combine, Aaron Wilson reported the Texans met with all these guys. Joe Royer from Cincinnati, Sam Rouse from Stanford, Max Clare from Ohio State, Oscar Delp from Georgia, Kenyon Sadiq, a first-round guy from the University of Oregon. So don't be surprised if in round 2, round 3, maybe in round 1, if the Texans take a shot at a tight end, and that tight end, I think, would be replacing Cade Stover. It's not necessarily his fault, but he has had such bad luck with his injuries his first 2 seasons. You can't really blame him for that, but when he's been on the field, it hasn't really impressed me either. So I think Cade Stover, Jake Andrews, and Jaylen Reed have a ton to prove this offseason. They might be on the chopping block, or they might end up getting a starting job. I think it could go either way for all 3 of those guys. Now, if you want to continue the conversation, you can hit me up on IG at Texans Today CS, on X at Jeremy Chuggs, and also on TikTok at Jeremy Chuggs. And if you made it to the end of today's program, make sure you hit that sub button for free Texans content all year long. We're your one-stop shop for everything going on around the Houston Texans. All right, here we go. First segment in the books. Let me know what you think about it. Did I miss anybody? Was there anybody else that you think has a lot to prove? I wanted that video to basically be 3 guys who I could see starting or I could see buried on the depth chart next year. Because I think Jaylen Reed, he'll have a chance to start. I think Jake Andrews is going to have a chance to start. And I also think Cade Stover, for how much he struggled, will have a chance to start.
We did get a couple super chats during that. A couple people are going to be going on the helmet with 2 $5 super chats.
Here we go. A little helmet action here. First up from Captain Legend 11. What are the odds that we add Wyatt Teller to the Texans O-line? I'd say 50-50. I think if you look at most of the top free agents along the offensive line, there's a good chance the Texans are going to target them because, they've been interested, rumored to have links to Wyatt Teller, to Braden Smith, to Cade Mays. Now, does that automatically mean they're going to sign those guys? No, because there's other teams out there bidding for these same guys, right? There's plenty of teams out there that need offensive line help. So it's not just going to be the Texans that are looking at Wyatt Teller. There's going to be multiple other squads that want to sign the guard from Cleveland. So it's not that, the Texans won't want to sign him or there won't be interest. It's going to be, will the Texans be able to outbid, or will Wyatt Teller even want to go to the Houston Texans? I think he would. But right now, I would say most O-linemen right now, I would say it's a 50-50 shot in terms of the best offensive lineman in free agency, whether or not the Texans sign him. Because one thing is clear. The O-line is getting a major shift this offseason. Whether it's in free agency or the draft, I think, don't count the Texans out from doing anything whenever it comes to the offensive line. Also, we're 1 like away from 100. Who's going to be the 100th like?
If you are the 100th like, let us know. We'll give you a shout out.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you're the 100th like. Loco Lopez said he'll give you a shout out.
Someone just hit it. Whoever hit it.
Bam.
Say it with me.
Bam. Present yourself. Sorry, guys. I'm battling through a little bit of a cough right now. We're going to get through it, though.
Oh, Robert Jones saying he's number 100. Shout out to Robert Jones.
Oh, wait. We got a couple.
Are we being gaslit?
We got a conspiracy. Got Jesus, Joshua all saying they're the 100th like. I don't know.
You know what? They all came together to make 100.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what? Shout out to all of them.
Maybe the 100th like was the friends that we made along the way.
I think that's what
HTX Roberto checking in. Hashtag Texans. What do you think about this line? Ursery, Pregnon, or Vega, Ioane, Cade Mays, or McGovern, Wyatt or Jennings Dunker, and Braden Smith. I don't hate it, and I think it's a very possible offensive line that you'll see going into next season. I think this is not out of the realm of possibility, maybe besides Vega, but actually, we're going to talk about him on this next segment here on Texans Today, because from the NFL Combine, you're always going to have guys that rise up and guys that might fall down draft boards depending on how they performed in Indianapolis. I'm going to talk about 5 prospects that I'm hoping fall in round 1. Now, whenever I say they fall in round 1, it's not saying that they're going to fall all the way to 28. I don't think most of the guys on this list are going to make it to pick 28. But I do think the Texans are going to be willing to trade up.
I'm about to say, if they get to a certain range, that's when people start calling like, hey.
People called me crazy last year, and it came out that I was right that the Texans made a ton of calls to trade up last year. They were trying to trade up to get Kelvin Banks. They were trying to trade up to get Tyler Booker, and they were trying to trade up to get why is it blanking me? The Seattle guard. Seahawks. Gray Zabel. Yep. Thank you. Gray Zabel. They were trying to trade up multiple times in round 1. They made multiple calls. Everybody denied him. They weren't able to come to terms on any deals. So, especially with the Texans this offseason and how last year ended, do not be surprised at all if the Texans actually trade up in this year's draft rather than trade down. I want to know. I've done 2 mock drafts so far. I want to know who's done the most mock drafts in the chat. So let me know, how many mocks have you done? I've done 2 Texans mock drafts that I put on the channel. Me, myself, I've probably done like 30. I'm not going to lie. I've probably done like 30 mock drafts.
I'll rip a mock draft at my desk if I have a little bit of downtime.
Dude, laying down, wife's asleep.
Ooh.
I pull out my mock.
I like to rock out my mock out.
I quietly pull out my mock so my wife doesn't hear. Let me know, how many mocks have you done?
She said I can whip out. She said I can pull out my mock as long as I don't wake her up.
Brandon says 1 billion. Jake Westfall says, can we get a mock during the stream? I like that idea. We'll do a live mock draft. We'll do a live mock draft maybe in a couple weeks once free agency starts to fizzle down a little bit.
Stay tuned because we might do what we did last year with the Chat Sports mock draft.
Yeah, possibly.
Stay tuned.
Possibly. Mario says, sheesh, I'm doing one right now. O-line only from Big DQ. I did 200 from Big DQ. O-line only. Let me know down below. How many mocks have you done? Show me your mock.
I don't know how I feel about Mario playing with his mock while he's listening to us. Like, Mario, I'm glad that you're having fun, but, like, I have to go home knowing you were playing with your mock while I was dogging.
Really? Really? Let me know. How many mocks have you done? We're not going to do a mock draft next. We are going to do the 5 players I hope fall in round 1. One of them, possibly D-Bag. I think you'll really like this next segment. I think based on what you're putting in the chat, I think you're really going to like this next segment that I put here on Texans Today. All right. Mario said he's mocking. He pulled his mock while he's on the treadmill. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Be careful.
You're just asking for a problem right
Be
there.
careful, Mario. Don't want any injuries while your mock's out. That could get dangerous. All right. This one also I wanted to do a cold open.
Yes.
All right. We're going to do this next segment. 5 prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft that I hope fall in round 1. If you're having a good time, type me down below in the comments section as we get ready for our next segment here on Texans Today. Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I am your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and I have a simple goal. 50K by the start of the 2026 NFL Draft. It's a tall task, I know. We are currently at 47,707 subscribers here on the channel, which means, beep, boop, beep, math, we need 2,293. I know it might not happen. I know it's going to be a tough task, but I believe in y'all. If you love the Houston Texans and you want content every single day, make sure to go down, hit that sub button, and help me reach my goal of 50K by the NFL Draft. On today's show, we are breaking down 5 prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft that I hope fall in round 1. Now, I'm not saying these guys are going to fall all the way to 28. Now, most of the guys, they probably won't fall all the way down to 28. But I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about the Houston Texans trading up in round 1. So I'm taking a look at some guys that could possibly make it to the teens, make it to the 20s, and the Texans trade up. Because I was told I was crazy last year. It came out after the round 1 of the NFL Draft that the Texans were looking to trade up, but no teams were biting. Will that change this year? Will Nick Caserio be more aggressive to go up and get his guy? I think so, especially if one of these 5 guys falls into the range where he can trade up. First off, let's talk about the best guard in the NFL Draft, Vega Ioane from Penn State. And if I could choose one player from this draft and make him a Texan right now, it would be Vega. I think he is not only the best guard in this draft, I think he actually might be the best offensive line prospect in this draft. 11 games played this past year, 0 sacks allowed for the Nittany Lions. I really love his game, and I think he slots in day one starter at guard for your Houston Texans. And, mocks have him going anywhere from, 10 to 21, 22. Nothing has had him falling all the way to the Houston Texans. But if he is to fall in the late teens, maybe even, 2021, I would hope that Nick Caserio would get on the phones and try his darndest to trade up for Ioane. Because this past year for Penn State, he was absolutely phenomenal. 79.9 overall PFF grade, a pass blocking grade of 87.1, a run blocking grade of 78.6, 0 sacks allowed, 1 penalty throughout the entire season for Vega. I would love to add him on this Texans offensive line. And, with only 1 starter going into next year, the only guy that I see on this Texans roster right now that is 100% going to start is Ariante Ursery. Adding a guard that can really run block and help this Texans offensive line and possibly be the guard for the next 5 to 10 years. Sign me up for that every single day, twice on Sundays. Vega Ioane, I hope he falls in this draft to the teens, to the 20s, and the Texans trade up to go and get him. Now, this next guy, funny enough, I actually took him in my mock draft just about a week ago. I think he is a phenomenal player as well, even though he does come with a little bit of risk. Only 16 starts for the Georgia Bulldogs throughout his time in Athens. But dude absolutely showed out in the combine. And, the beginning of draft season, he's somebody that was a very popular pick to the Houston Texans. He's very tall, very, good frame, really athletic, 6'7", 315 pounds, 13 games played this year, 3 sacks allowed throughout the entire season, and the PFF grade's pretty good. A better pass blocker than he is a run blocker, 3 sacks allowed, 2 penalties while playing in the SEC. I really like the idea of getting Monroe Freeling in round 1. But, unfortunately for the Houston Texans, like I said, he absolutely put on a show in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. It's in photos. I think I do have his RAS score, which, just letting y'all know, RAS score, relative athletic score, that puts a player on a scale from 1 to 10. He scored a 9.99. I know it's not everything. I know the 40-yard dash and this doesn't necessarily translate 100% to, being a good NFL player. Just look at Kamari Lassiter. A couple years back, he did not have a good RAS score. Now he's a top 20 corner in the NFL. But teams are going to notice this. Teams are going to notice how well he performed at the Combine. And take it from the NFL draft analyst, he was going in the 20s all throughout, the beginning of mock season. Now, the latest 3 mocks that I've seen have him going from Dane Brugler, he's going 11 to the Miami Dolphins. Jordan Reed from ESPN has him going 6. Yes, the 6th pick in the draft to the Cleveland Browns. And so does PFF. Trevor Sikkema has him going at 6 as well. So maybe it's not even an option for the Texans. Now, I hope he falls. I hope he is able to trickle down in the draft. But it's looking more and more that he might be a top 10 pick in this year's draft class. I want to know from you folks at home, I'm talking about guys who the Texans could possibly trade up for. I hope these guys fall in the draft. What do you think is the % chance that the Texans trade up in round 1? Let me know down in the comment section. If you get hit with the YouTube ad break, all good. Scroll on down. I'm going to give you my answer on my % chance I think the Texans trade up in round 1. Call me crazy. I think it's a 75% chance. I'm giving it a very likely possibility that the Texans go up and get their guy. Because if one of these guys falls, if a good offensive lineman is in the teens, I hope Nick Caserio puts it all out there, puts it on the line, and goes up and gets his guy. Because I get it, they want value. And they've drafted really well in the second round the past couple of years. Look, Kamari Lassiter, really good pick. They got Kalen Bullock in round 3. Ursery and Jaden Higgins, both round 2 guys. So they've had a lot of success drafting in round 2. But at the end of the day, when you have a major need along the offensive line, I know they're going to try to fill it in free agency, but more than likely, they're going to still need one starter on the offensive line from this draft. And if you have a surefire guy, if you have a guy that's, on the top of your big board and you see him there in the late teens, I really do hope that Nick Caserio calls one of these GMs trades up and goes and gets his guy. Because I talked about Monroe Freeling going in the top 10. Him going in the top 10 might mean another offensive tackle slides down. And I haven't talked about this guy at all because I didn't think there was a possibility. All the mocks had him going in the top 10 picks. Recently, that's changed a little bit. Francis Mauigoa from the University of Miami. Offensive tackle, can also play a little bit of offensive guard if needed. I didn't think there was any chance, any possibility in this world that the Texans would even sniff at the chance of getting this guy. But with Monroe Freeling, other guys climbing up big boards, there's a chance that the tackle for Miami does fall. This past year, according to PFF, very good grades. Overall, 83.6, pass blocking grade of 87.1, a run blocking grade of 79.4, 2 sacks allowed, 7 penalties. He did really well throughout the college football playoff as well, as he was one of the guys, one of the anchors on that offense that led Miami to the national title game. And I think if the Texans were able to add a premier prospect like him, like Vega, like Monroe Freeling, that would be an A-plus draft in my opinion. Going out and getting a top offensive lineman would be just that. And, the Texans, they've already started wheeling and dealing. They traded Tytus Howard away. They traded for David Montgomery. So they're not afraid to wheel and deal. They're not afraid to make trades and make things happen. And I hope they do so to go up and get an offensive lineman. Now, coming up, I have some more prospects that I hope fall in round 1. Before I do, this is going to be your last chance to get our St. Patrick's Day gear, the Houston Drinking Team gear. Get it today at chatsports.com/HOU shop. You can also find our other apparel there. But if you want to get your St. Patrick's Day stuff in time for the holiday, you can do so. You can get this Houston Drinking Team shirt. Also, the brand new Beers hat. So if you want to get this, hat for St. Patrick's Day, a little bit of a fun tchotchke thing going on for the holiday. Now might be your last chance to get it in time for the holiday unless you get express shipping, right? But if you don't, I'm a cheapo. I don't like to pay for the shipping. So if you want to get it in time for the holiday without paying the extra for shipping, get it right now. Chatsports.com/HOU shop. That link will be in the comments and description of today's show. All right. I can't go all offensive line. Now we're going to talk about some other guys that I hope fall. Next up is going to be Kayden McDonald, defensive tackle from Ohio State. And this is the second need for the Houston Texans. O-line is need 1. The next need, it's going to be defensive tackle. And Kayden McDonald, actually in a recent mock, the Texans traded up at the end of round 1, pick 32, to select Kayden McDonald. I'd be okay with getting 2 premier guys in round 1. Kayden McDonald, an Ohio State Buckeye this past year, 57 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and he really came onto the scene this year for the Buckeyes. And 14 games played this year, right? He got 10 pressures, 1 PBU, as I mentioned, 3 sacks, also 9 tackles for loss. So some really good numbers put up there by Kayden McDonald. This is a guy that definitely could fall to pick 28 for the Houston Texans, where you don't have to trade up. If you're not able to trade up at all, you're sitting there at pick 28, hopefully a guy like this falls to you, because I think he is on the Texans' radar going into this draft season. Because all the guys along this offensive line, really the only viable defensive tackle that you have returning is Tommy Togai. I'm Mario Edwards Jr., but he's coming off injury from this past year. I think Kayden McDonald falling to pick 28 would be a really good result for the Houston Texans if they're not able to get an offensive lineman in round 1. Now, some honorable mentions that I did have. I hope these guys fall to the Texans at least close to their pick, if not pick 28. Spencer Fano from Utah, I think that would be a good trade-up option if he falls to like the late teens, 20s. Blake Miller has been mocked a lot to the Texans at 28. I hope he falls to the Texans pick. I wouldn't mind trading up a couple picks, but I wouldn't necessarily want to trade up to the teens to go get him. Peter Woods, defensive tackle from Clemson. A lot of what I just said about Kayden McDonald could be applied to him. I really would like to get a top defensive tackle in this draft. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety from Toledo. I think, the Texans have a sneaky need at safety. Could look to add another guy, and he is a very talented player. Also, Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon. He showed out at the combine, ran a 4.3 40. Don't know where he goes, but I think he definitely helped his case to go in the top 10, if not in the teens, with his performance at the Combine. This last guy, going to be very controversial. Caleb Downs, because there's some murmurs coming out here and there, and whether they're true, whether they're not, who knows. But Caleb Downs could possibly fall in this draft due to medical concerns. Now, is it true? I don't know. It's total smokescreen season, right? Teams out there, agents, this, that, and the other, put out false information all the time to try to get guys to fall in the combine, get guys to fall in the draft. Caleb Downs, I think, is a top 5 player in this draft. And if he was to fall for some reason, I know it's not a major need for the Texans. But if you're telling me you can leave this draft with a top 5 player, that's a win. That's a win. And as I mentioned, you don't necessarily need him. This defense is already stacked. But getting a guy like Caleb Downs would be like the last infinity stone on the gauntlet. This dude is incredible. And if you haven't seen, this was a tweet that I found out there, and it's been circulating, a couple other tweets as well. Report Caleb Downs was flagged this week with a partially torn meniscus. There was also concern about a possible degenerative ACL per this guy. It feels similar to what Will Johnson's situation last year. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not necessarily buying it. I think even with injuries, Downs goes top 10. He is so talented. I don't see him falling out of the top 10. But crazier things have happened. We've seen guys fall down draft boards before, right? We've seen CeeDee Lamb fall to the Cowboys. We've seen other guys fall down in the draft for Laramie Tunsil fell down in the draft for him smoking a bong. So we've seen guys fall down in the draft before. I don't think it happens with Caleb Downs. I still think he's a top 10 pick in this draft, but you never know. You never know until draft day comes. Who would have thought that Shedeur Sanders would go in round 5 last year? I didn't, but it ended up happening. I'm not saying Downs is going to fall out of the top 10, but he's just somebody, if there are more reports coming out about his knee, more reports coming out about his medicals, at least a guy that you got to consider, a guy that you got to look at. Now, that's all I got for you on today's show. If you made it to the end of the video, you're an absolute real one, especially if you are subscribed. Go down there, drop those H's down below in the comments section, because I appreciate each and every single one of y'all for watching my video. And as always, keep it real and stay tuned for more Texans news and rumors all year long. All right. Second segment in the books.
Check.
All we've got left is our Texans Today mailbag. And from the beginning of the show, I didn't think we'd have a lot of questions. I think we're starting to load up on questions. I've seen a lot of hashtag Texans down below. Appreciate y'all for getting your questions in, getting your thoughts in there. We do have some super chats that will hit in the mailbag as well. So if you want to make sure that you get in the mailbag, you can always super chat, get your question up on screen. But it's always up to Lopez. You can use that hashtag Texans to get up on the program as well. Goo Lagoon. Delicious. I see Pierre Smith getting his question in. Make sure, if you want to get up on the show, your opportunities right now. We're about to get started with our Texans Today mailbag. Fortunately for me, we're not close to me doing the Texans helmet mailbag, which I'm perfectly fine with because I'm actually a little hot in here. This thing gets me a little...
It's getting hot in here, so put on all your helmets.
Yeah, it gets me a little sweaty. So, perfectly fine with that. You can still use the hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get up on the show. And we're going to do our Texans Today mailbag here in just a moment. Shout out to everybody who's still sticking around in the chat. We still got 145 people rocking and rolling. I always say the most valuable thing you have in this world is your time. So, you spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, the whole show here. It means a lot to me. So, I appreciate everybody for rocking and rolling in the chat right now. Also, 420.
Know what that means?
Shout out. Shout out to the real one.
Oh, fuck. It's 421 now.
Oh, no,
Damn
no,
it.
no, no.
We missed it.
We missed it. It's okay. It'll come back around in 12 hours. 4:20 in the morning. Bro. Harrison Diggs, I see you. I see you. All right. We're going to get into this Texans Today mailbag. good amount of likes, too. 135 likes on the show. We got 145 people watching. Let's get in to this mailbag section of the program, and then we're going to hop on out of here here on Texans Today. Harrison Diggs, appreciate you for checking in. All right. You ready?
Yes, sir. Setting everything.
And then, where is it? Oh, yeah, for this one, we'll do the baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball.
All righty. I think I'm ready. I think producer Lopez is ready. I hope you're ready. We're going to get into our Texans Today mailbag here on the show. Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and this is another award-winning Texans Today mailbag. What award? My mom gave it to me. It's her favorite segment. So if you love getting your thoughts, getting your questions up on the show, well, this is the perfect show for you. All the questions are from our live show on March 4th, 2026. And if you're watching this live, all you got to do, hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get up on the program. As I mentioned, all the questions are from our loyal subscribers who tuned into our live shows. And if you want to be on our next mailbag, make sure to tune in. We go live every Wednesday, 3:30 Central Time. First up, let's start off with a Super Chat. A $5 Super Chat coming in from Captain Legend 11. What are the odds that we add Wyatt Teller to the Texans O-line? I'd say about 50-50, right? The Texans, they're 100% going to be looking at some of the top guys in terms of free agency. Now, there's going to be a lot of teams that need offensive linemen. So it's not really going to be on the Texans whether or not they sign Wyatt Teller. It's going to be on Wyatt Teller whether he chooses the Texans over other teams. Maybe other teams outbid the Texans. They have a decent amount of cap space, but not as much as other teams. So we'll have to see how that goes. But the Texans will for sure be targeting the top linemen in free agency this offseason. That's just how it's going to go. You trade away Tytus Howard. You only have Ariante Ursery. And I expect them to fill a lot of these holes on the offensive line in free agency. Next coming up from Clavicular. Hashtag Texans should trade Davis Mills for a third-round pick. There's been a lot of rumors around quarterbacks. Jarrett Stidham with the Denver Broncos has had a lot of rumors around him. Kyler Murray's going to get released. There's rumors everywhere around backup quarterbacks. Tanner McKee from the Philadelphia Eagles. I've said it before on the show. I'll say it again. If you're looking for a bridge quarterback, I don't think there's anybody better than Davis Mills. I really don't. He knows his role, would be willing to start for a couple years and be willing to, help out younger guys on the team. He's shown that he's a great team player. He showed that he can win and manage games. I think out of all the options, if you're looking for a bridge, Davis Mills checks all the boxes on them. Now, if I'm the Houston Texans, I wouldn't want to trade him, especially if you're looking to make a Super Bowl run. We've seen in the past. I mean, look at the Broncos this past year with Jarrett Stidham. Having a backup quarterback is very valuable. Just ask the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Foles, right? Having a good backup can save your season, can make or break. We don't have Davis Mills. I don't think the Texans make the playoffs this year. So I would like to keep him on the roster. Might sound crazy. For this, good question. I would say no. I would be a little bit mad if the Texans traded Davis Mills for a third-round pick. I know it's, technically fair value, but I don't want to trade Davis Mills. Let me know what you think down below. Would you be mad if the Texans traded Mills for a third-round pick? I personally would. I think he's worth more than that to this Texans team. I think, you don't necessarily need a third-round pick more than you need Davis Mills. And then you have a need at quarterback. Like, who are you going to sign? Who are you're going to spend a draft pick? You're going to spend, cap space on a quarterback? No. I don't think it's worth it. So I would be mad if the Texans traded a third-round pick for Davis Mills. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I mean, like I said, it just makes no sense. I don't think the Texans should trade Davis Mills unless it's for something crazy like a high second or a first-round pick. And I know no team's going to give us that, and that's the point. Unless you're going to blow the Texans out of the water with an insane trade, I wouldn't even consider it if I was the Houston Texans. Next up, from Nintendo Master, shout out to you, my guy. Hashtag Texans, what are the chances of the Texans bringing back Stephon Diggs? Yes, the day that I'm filming this, actually breaking news that happened today, the Patriots did release Stephon Diggs. I don't think it's very likely. I think the Texans like where their wide receiver room is. And with Tank Dell coming back, I think we all have high hopes that he'll be able to get back to form this season. You have Nico Collins, who is your wide receiver 1. And then you have 2 young guys, right? Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, that I hope take the next step. I think with how many needs you have elsewhere, wide receiver should be one of the last positions that you look at this offseason. Obviously, maybe they get somebody in the draft, maybe a low-budget free agent, but it's not a need, right? Like, I don't think the Texans need another wide receiver unless you don't think Tank Dell is going to come back or you have no hope in Tank Dell returning to form. I think the Texans should probably focus on a receiving tight end. But I also don't think Diggs wants to be the second or third fiddle in Houston. I think, unless he's willing to come back on a very team-friendly deal, which knowing Stephon Diggs, he probably does not. He probably wants to get paid this offseason, probably wants to go somewhere that he can be a featured receiver. I don't think that's what the Houston Texans this next season. So I would say no, Nintendo Master. I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility, but the chances of it happening, I put at probably like 5 or 10% that he comes back to the Texans. And 10% is probably being very generous with that. Good question, though, Nintendo Master. Next up, Kathy Williams on the program. #Texans. Anyone we need to be concerned with losing during legal tampering? I think the only one that I would be worried about losing, maybe 2. I would say Ed Ingram on the offensive line and probably one of our defensive tackles, whether that's Sheldon Rankins, whether that's, Tim Settle. I think those guys are the only people that I'm necessarily looking at I really hope that, they don't leave in free agency. I would say, as I mentioned, Ed Ingram, right guard, if he's going to get 15 to 18 million, as Aaron Wilson reported, don't know if the Texans go ahead and re-sign him. He did have a really good year with the Texans. He's only, 26 years old, but he's only had one good season in his career. And then the defensive tackles. I know the Texans want to get younger at that position, but I do like Tim Settle. I do like Sheldon Rankins. So those would be the only 3 guys that I would necessarily be worried about losing in free agency. And good reminder from Kathy, Monday is the start of the NFL tampering period where most of the deals get done in NFL free agency. So make sure you have your notifications turned on. Make sure you subscribe, because anything that happens with the Houston Texans, you best believe I'm going to break it down here on the channel. Before we get into more questions, quick word from our sponsor over at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. Join the millions of users and sign up today for America's #1 sports picks app. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, Prize Picks is now giving $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board, every home run, every Game-7 catch that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. It's super simple. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports. Anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball. Got a big tourney coming up. Tennis, golf, esports, and more. And with Prize Picks, you can now get in on the action in all 50 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Something that I like, obviously, baseball, not in season just yet, but you can do season-long projections from Prize Picks. This is my home run lineup that I'm going with. All former or current Stros. I'm going Alex Bregman, who signed with the Cubs this offseason. I'm going the more on his home runs. Altuve, Alvarez, going the more on their homers. Kyle Tucker, going the less. Why, you might ask? Because F him. That's why. He joined the evil empire in L.A., and I hope nothing but strikeouts for Kyle Tucker all season long. Nothing but the best for him and his family, but I hope he strikes out every single time he gets to the plate. Now, you want to use my lineup, you can go ahead and do so over on Prize Picks today. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. That information down in the comments and description of today's show. ASU frat leader, #Texans. David Montgomery isn't an RB1. Texans still need to draft somebody. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think running back by committee is going to be how the Texans view this room, where David Montgomery is 1A, Woody Marks is 1B, and then they're going to probably add a speed back, in my opinion, probably in the NFL draft. Is it going to be a Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas who put up a 4.33 40-yard dash? Maybe Damone Claiborne from Wake Forest. Shout out to our guy Sam Brown, was literally the only person at the podium with him during his combine interviews. If you don't believe me, SportsCenter actually did a post on it. So shout out to our guy Sam Brown. He also ran a blazing fast 40 at the combine. I think the Texans go ahead and add some more speed at the running back spot, but they view David Montgomery as their 1A running back, and I hope he can do so. I think the fact that he's, had to share carries with Jahmyr Gibbs and is fine with doing that is a plus for the Houston Texans, and a plus for Woody Marks, who showed a lot of promise in year one. So shout out to David Montgomery, the newest member of the Houston Texans. I hope that he's able to really, show out for this Texans squad and really help out our running game that really dipped in 2025. Next up, D-Bag. Texans, do you believe Caleb Downs will fall to the Texans because of his injury? I don't think there is any chance that Caleb Downs falls past pick 15. I think that's being I would say top 10. Even with a knee injury, I just don't see it. I did a video on prospects that I hope fall, and I hope Downs falls. I really do. I just, crazier things have happened, but I think, if he's getting there to 15, 16, there's going to be a team. Maybe the Houston Texans, maybe another team. There will be a team that trades up for him if he gets passed on by the first 10 picks in the draft. I guarantee it. He is that good. When healthy, he is a top 10 player in this draft. Crazier things have happened, but I just don't see it. He's that good that even with the knee injury, you take him early on. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Will Johnson from last year, the corner from Michigan, he fell. I know, but Caleb Downs is different. This is a different guy, and I really do believe that he's going to go top 10. Next question from Rikerfin. Do you think the Texans should re-sign Kirk? I say yes, because he has stepped up big plays when needed. I wouldn't mind it if you assign him to a cheap contract. I think with how he played down the stretch for the Texans, though, he might find himself into a little bit of cash on the open market. There's a couple teams that need wide receiver help. The Buffalo Bills need more receiver help. Now, he's not a wide receiver 1, but, a team that needs a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, I don't know if he's a wide receiver 2. Maybe if you need a wide receiver 3 option, I think Kirk could definitely step in for multiple other teams. I don't know how much he's going to command on the open market. I mean, if it's cheap, sure. If he wants to remain in Houston, sure. But I actually see him having a little bit of a market in free agency this offseason. I wish him the best. I don't know if he makes it back to the Houston Texans roster this next season. Next question from Montmaxing, #Texans. Should we move Ursary to right tackle and trade for Trent Williams? I saw this online. There was a 49ers account on X that said the Texans should trade a second-round pick for Trent Williams. No. The Texans are not going to trade for Trent Williams. And I don't think, I really don't think the 49ers trade, you can pull that up. There was reports from Mike Garafolo from NFL Network that the 49ers and Trent Williams have made no progress on contract talks. So, he wants a revised deal, or the 49ers, I would say, want him to revise the deal a little bit. They want him to help him out. I don't know. I think it's more likely that the 49ers end up making him a post-June 1st cut candidate, because if the 49ers trade him, they get $34 million in dead cap. That'll really sink their offseason. That'll make things very difficult for them. So I don't think that they would trade for Trent Williams, and especially not a second-round pick for Trent Williams because of that cap hit. I don't see that happen. I think, if anything, they make him a post-June 1st cut candidate, and What that means is you can spread the dead cap between this year and next year. So it'd be like $15 million this year, $16 million next year, rather than having the 34 all hit this year. I think that's more likely. I would be okay if that happened with the Texans signing Trent Williams. And I see people in the chat saying, like, I don't know if I would do that. Trent Williams was awesome last year. He was the 3rd highest rated tackle according to PFF amongst everybody in the NFL. I think he would be a really good option if the Texans really want to go all in next year. At the end of the day, I think they figure it out in San Francisco, and he remains a 49er. Zach Rose coming in. Do you think the ability to evaluate free agent talent versus draft talent is better by Caserio and company? If not, we are doomed. I mean, you hope so, because, as I mentioned, they're looking to replace 4 offensive linemen, possibly, going into next season. And a lot of that is probably going to come from free agency. I don't see them drafting more than, I hope not more than 2 starters on the offensive line in this year's draft. Like, that's a lot putting on rookies. I could see them adding in free agency 3 guys to start on this offensive line because, as you mentioned, their ability to evaluate offensive linemen in the draft has been pretty poor. The last 5 offensive line draft picks, good pick, round 2 from Ursery. Blake Fisher, swing tackle, hasn't really shown you a lot from round 2. Ladarius Henderson, not on the team. Drew Scruggs, you just traded him away. Jarrett Patterson, round 6, a backup. And then you go further back, Kenyon Green, right? Like, first-round pick, bust. So they haven't had a ton of success in evaluating offensive linemen in the early parts of the draft, which does worry me. I do hope that they're able to find, good options in free agency. And actually, this kind of leads me to this next super chat coming in from HTX Roberto. What do you think about this line? Ursery, Pregnon or Vega, Cade Mays or McGovern, Wyatt, backup Dunker, and Braden Smith. I think this is a very possible looking offensive line for the Texans next year, right? You get Ursery, possibly Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon, Cade Mays or McGovern, Wyatt, Braden Smith. I think that is a very possible looking offensive line that the Texans roll with going into next season. I hope they're able to evaluate these guys in free agency and get us some good offensive linemen to protect C.J. Stroud and to get the run game going this next year. All right, that's all I have for you on this mailbag. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me on Wednesday so you can be a part of our next mailbag here on Texans Today. Here we go. As Kathy said, tampering period starts on Monday. So I want to know a simple yes or no from the 125 people still rocking with us. Will you be joining me for my free agency coverage next week? Give me a yes, give me a no. I want to know, are you going to be joining me for all the free agency craziness going on around the Houston Texans? Olu said no to my question. We can pull up your question if you want. Andrew Robles says yes. Harrison Diggs says maybe. Appreciate that, Harrison. Kathy said absolutely. He's making me work for it. Yep, from Mr. King Zeno. Yes. Hell yeah, from Ricky Cantu. Yes, bro, you broke some stories before. Even some Hey, that's what I try to do here, man. As soon as I hear anything, as soon as I get any information, I try to get it to y'all as quick as possible.
Olu's question.
Olu, your question. Do you think that Jayden Higgins will be like Nico fully? He should be like a wide receiver 3 or maybe a wide receiver 2 if you can get like 800. I think he's going to show out this next year. I think Jayden Higgins had a great rookie season. I think year 2, we should expect even more from Jayden Higgins. He is long, he is athletic, and he has a great ability to catch the ball. Like in college, that was his main thing coming out is he didn't really drop the ball at all. Now, he did have a couple drops this season, but overall, I think it was a very successful rookie campaign for Jayden Higgins, right? Like, let's look at his stats rookie season. Also, Steve Smith Sr., you know who he compared Jayden Higgins to? Larry Fitzgerald.
It's a pretty good comp to have.
Pretty good comp. 41 receptions, 525 yards, 6 touchdowns this season. Where does it have? Does it have his drops on here? Maybe I have to look at advanced. 3 drops on the year. 3 drops on the year for Jaden Higgins. But I mean, 525 yards, rookie season. I don't think there's any reason that number can't double. If he can't be maybe a 1,000-yard receiver, especially if C.J. Stroud kind of picks back up where we hope he does, and this Texans run game kind of gets going, opens up the passing lanes a little bit more. I think Higgins is going to be really good going into next year. Zeus says, love your channel, Noti Gang. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate all the support. James says, hell yeah. Bonus question, draft bust and draft sleeper from Benjamin. Ooh. Honestly, at running back, the more and more I've been watching him, and I know it's, probably easy for me to say because, like I said, my guy Sam Brown was the only one to interview him. I do like Damone Claiborne as a mid-round running back from Wake Forest. I think he's a decent option. Also, you know who isn't getting enough love? And I don't talk about him because the Texans don't need a wide receiver. Everybody's gushing over Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana. Elijah Surratt is better than him. Me and my guy Patrick Steetman, the host of our Vikings channel, we are leading the charge in the Elijah Surratt fan club. Everybody's talking about Omar Cooper Jr. I'm not saying he's not good. Omar Cooper Jr. really good. Elijah Surratt is fantastic. Like, he's not getting nearly enough love from what he did this past year at Indiana. So I think whatever team, if he falls to round 3, whatever team gets him will get the steal of the draft. The steal of the draft. Bust. That's a little tougher because I don't want to be like this guy's gonna be shit. Let's see. Let me look at. I'm gonna maybe not bust, but I'll look at somebody who I think is being a little bit overvalued.
I think one of those guys for me is Arvell Reese. I think he has the tools to be an elite player, elite prospect. But it's going to be one of those, is he going to put it all together? You have it on paper. You're going to be a top 5 pick most likely. Can you put it all together?
I'm not going to say bust, but somebody who I think will slide in the draft and, he might make a team very happy or not. And it's like I hate to be like, oh, this guy is injury prone or this guy can't stay on the field. Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, uber talented. Can never stay on the field. Dude has been injured the past 2 seasons. I think, whatever team gets him, I think he's going to, if he didn't have injuries, I think he'd be a top 10 player in this draft. I think
he'd be receiver 1 and nobody would blink an eye to.
I think he would go top 10. Because the past 2 years, he has not been able to stay on the, 2 years back, look, Arizona State makes the college football playoff. He's not able to play. This past year, is injured for half the season with a hamstring injury. So, I hope he is able to turn it around, stay healthy. That's somebody I would worry about taking. Now, at some point, the talent's just going to hit you in the face where you can't not take him. Yeah. If you're the Ravens where do the Ravens pick? I think Ravens
14?
14 or 15? They pick in the teens. The Ravens who need a receiver, if Jordan Tyson is there, you take him. Yeah. That is a boom or bust guy that you are willing to bet on because he is that good. And as Benjamin said, fair assessment, can't call someone a bust until around 2 to 3 years after the draft. I agree. Oh, yeah. But somebody that I would be concerned about would be Jordan Tyson. Let's see. What else do we have? Zeus, do you know Texans Talk 713? Yeah, are you talking about Ruben? Ruben's my guy. He does some great content on his side. I know he does some stuff at Roundtable, does some stuff for Bleacher Report. He does some good stuff. Texans have a lot of good content creators. Stressen's out there, does some great stuff. Aaron Wilson, a beat reporter. DJ Bienemy, I would say Jonathan Alexander does some great stuff as well. They do some good stuff. Landry Locker, I think, does some good stuff, even though, his teammate doesn't like me as much.
Teammate.
I try not to give him as much airtime because he really does not like me. I
didn't know there was Texans Today lore.
Old timer John McClain always comes in, right? He's actually really nice to me. He reposts a lot of my stuff. I know I'm missing somebody out there. Like I said, there's a lot of great content creators out there. There's a lot of really good ones. Texas Texans Jacob on Twitter is a really good follow, as I'm just kind of Mr. Invisible Texan. Does some good stuff out there. Dr. Barrett has some good spaces from time to time. There's a lot of good content creators out there, man. Seth Payne as well. Yeah, Seth Payne does a good job. The guys over there at the radio station, they do some good stuff. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of great content creators out there. I think Texans fans are blessed. And I have no problem shouting those guys out because I don't view it as competition. I view it as, y'all aren't going to spend 24 hours a day watching my stuff. I don't have that much stuff to talk about. So if y'all want to watch my video and then go watch one from Ruben and then go watch one, James Roy does some good stuff as well. There's a lot of content out there. So I implore y'all, go watch my stuff. Go watch other people's stuff, to get different perspectives because I'm going to have a different opinion than somebody else as well. So, I always, whenever I can, like to give those guys a shout out because I think it's better if we stand up as a community, stand up as Texans fans and lift each other up rather than, kind of pull each other down like some people like to do.
That's powerful.
I don't like to do that, but some people do like to kind of punch down a little bit. I would say punch up if they're punching at me, but see, neither here nor there. I know I'm missing some other people too, which really bugs me because I like to give them some shout outs. Texans Cap is really good. Jordan Pun, really good follow as well on Twitter. There's a lot. There's a lot of really good content creators out there.
Ooh, Santana is in the building.
Suavemente. Jose Rangel Chuggs, have you seen that we're projected to win the conference on betting apps? Yeah. I mean, you can't project. I mean, we don't even know.
Early.
We only have one offensive lineman. Like, we got to sign some people before we
place any bets.
For real. Honestly. Andrew Robles, all great creators, but Chuggs in the Chat Sports Career, my #1 channel. Appreciate that.
Shout out Andrew.
Appreciate that, man. It really, if it wasn't for y'all, I'd just be a crazy dude yelling into the camera with my friend Lopez right here. So, y'all really make this what it is. I always say Texans Today is the #1 Texans community on YouTube because of y'all. Y'all really make this thing go. So I appreciate everybody who rocks and rolls with us here on Texans Today. Suavemente, Chuggs, appreciate you, brother. You're a real one. You're a real one, Suavemente. You're a real one. Appreciate you, my guy. Really. I know. Oh, you got Suavemente. He's a legend here. Another legend from our Raiders channel here at Chat Sports. So I appreciate you checking in with us here at Texans Today and keeping me on your screen, man. Appreciate that. All right, I think that's all the stuff we have for today.
You call the shots here. I'm just here.
Yeah. Do it. Do you want to get the top 5? What are we going to do? Do you want top 5 cereals? Go.
Ooh. Captain Crunch has to be the Crunch Berries.
Okay. If you went normal Captain Crunch.
No. These are not in any order, by the way, so don't be like, oh, he named this one first.
Oh, not ordered. Okay.
No, not ordered, because I haven't
kind of
thought
a cop
that hard
out,
about
but it's okay.
Okay. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Wait. Before, if you're giving a top 10 list, can we get you up on screen, my guy Lopez?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
I want everybody to see you so they can roast you if you give some bad answers. Top 5 cereals for my guy Loco Lopez. What do we got? And not in any order because he's copping out, but it's all good.
Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries is up there. That's top 5. Argue with the wall.
Good cereal.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I think some people overrated sometimes. I've met people that are like, I will die for Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's not that serious. Calm down. Hot take on this one. Special K, the one with the strawberries in it. The red berries. Dude, those are gas.
I didn't know you were 50 years old.
Those are fucking gas.
Okay.
Dude, okay, you're really going to hate on me for this one. Cheerios, the regular ones.
No. The regular Cheerios?
Dude, I love putting them bitches.
You're a 60-year-old man and a 2-year-old at the same time. What?
Dude, I love putting them bitches in a cup and just eating them dry. They're great.
I literally...
They make me feel like I'm young again.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody besides a toddler eat normal Cheerios.
And it makes me feel like a toddler when I eat out of my little cup. It's great.
do you have the cup that you can't spill? Like it's like the
No, I usually put in like a one of those cups you get from like the stadium or something. I got like a Rangers cup, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I put my dry normal Cheerios in there.
Oh my god. Normal Cheerios is disgusting.
You're wrong.
I think there's only one worse answer, and I'm afraid that you're gonna say it.
I'm not gonna say Raisin Bran, I swear.
No, that's not the worst answer that I was thinking. But go ahead.
I think last has to be Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, that's not bad.
What was the one that you were thinking?
The worst answer by far is the shredded mini wheats.
Oh, I hate mini wheats. They suck. Mini wheats are ass.
My wife likes the shredded mini wheats. Blech. You're like,
those are ass.
Do you care to eat a bale of hay in the morning? No, I feel like a horse when I eat it. It's bad. Cyanide, my guy. How we doing? A constant member of the Noti gang is Cyanide. Let me know your favorite cereals down below. We have Honey Nut Cheerios. Everyone forgot about Frosted Flakes. Honey Nut is the GOAT.
So wait, what's your top 5? If you're gonna just roast mine.
This is for Loco Lopez, my guy, right here. My top 5. I love Frosted Flakes. I love Cocoa Puffs.
Okay, I'm more of a Pebbles before Puffs person.
Oh, okay, I like the Cocoa Puffs. Pebbles aren't bad. I like Fruit Loops.
Okay.
I like Reese's Puffs. And this one might be maybe it's just because I grew up with it. This would be my one that I think people would hate on. Rice Krispies with a little bit of sugar and like cut up bananas in there.
No, that's gas.
Or some cut up strawberries.
That's
just
fire.
Normal Rice Krispies, a little bit of sugar, maybe some banana or strawberries. Great. That's a 420 snack.
You know what I've seen has been going around and I have not found it yet in stores? Peanut butter Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I need to get my hands on that.
There's actually a coffee shop that's near me and my wife's crib that they have like 12 cereals on the wall and they allow you to mix them in a bowl. Great combo. I'm getting a lot of Apple Jacks love in the chat too.
Apple Jacks isn't bad.
Apple Jacks is good. I like Apple Jacks. Hasn't been the same since they replaced the mascots.
Yeah, since they
bumbleclatted.
I'm about to say they un-Jamaican one.
Yeah. Vanilla Chex is underrated. I don't think I've ever had vanilla Chex. I think the only time I've had Chex is whenever it's in like Chex Mix or like during the holidays when people make those like reindeer tracks or whatever with it or stuff like that. Another one from Cyanide. I gotta know, Cyanide. This guy, huge fan of the program. Appreciate you for being a part of the Noti gang. He always comments first on my video, and all he says is bean. Don't laugh. Why are you laughing at that? And in his super chat, he just says bean. Bro, mini wheats is a classic in the military, but give me Apple Jacks all day.
See, I feel like if you like Apple Jacks, you have to have Fruit Loops above them. I feel like...
Yeah, I have heard some crazy internet rumors that all Fruit Loops flavors are the same.
I've seen those rumors, and then I've also seen some people debunk those rumors.
Oh, Boogie Woogie. That is a ball knower answer. French Toast Crunch, if you've ever had that.
I have.
That's a very good one.
That's a good one.
Very good one. People ask, what do you think their record's going to be? I can't give a record prediction until free agency in the draft. Like I said, we only have one offensive lineman that's going to start next year right now on our roster. Like I in no way feel. I mean, I could say. I hope 12-5, 13-4. Like I hope. Like that'd be awesome.
17-0.
17-0. 14-3. That'd be dope. But until I see the offensive line, I can't really. I don't know. I can't really give an answer to that one. I do love Honey Nut Cheerios slaps. The fact that you don't go Honey Nut.
Honey Nut is good. I didn't say they were bad. But the nostalgic factor of putting my dry plain Cheerios in a little cup and just watching TV makes me feel like I'm young again.
All right, I think that's where we have to leave it off. I think that's where we head out. That's all we got for you here on Texans Today. I hope y'all had some laughs. I hope y'all had a good time here on the program. We go live every Wednesday. Oh, chocolate Craves. I don't know if you've had that.
I'm not a Craves fan.
The one with the chocolate in the middle?
No, I know which one you're talking about.
There we go. That's all I got for you here on Texans Today. As always, make sure you hit that notification bell. Turn on your hit that sub button to make sure you get all of our videos here on Texans Today. From me, from Loco Lopez and the whole Chat Sports crew, hope you all have a blessed day. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll see y'all next week for the start of free agency. Might be going live a couple days here on the channel. I'll keep you all tuned with what's going on. But regardless, we're going to give you every single thing that happens around your Houston Texans going in to NFL free agency.